Okay, so for this video, we're gonna start the flat circle that starts your bowl. Um, I'm gonna start this off with chaining 4. In the class, we chain 3. You can chain 3 or 4. It really won't make much of a difference. And then at the end of the video, I'll pull out the work and I'll show you the magic circle or the magic ring, which is also a great method for starting crocheting in the round. And I just wanted to say that you don't have to start with very large yarn. I just find it easier for beginners to start with very large yarn and then working your way down. Worsted weight category number 4 yarn is probably some of the most popular yarn on the market, and it's the most common, but it can be difficult for some people to learn. I mean, to start off with. So, like, this would be a category 4 yarn. This is from Hobby Lobby. If you see here on the label, category 4, it's calling for a 5.5 millimeter hook. This is like your everyday box yarn that you're going to find. And if you are experienced with crochet, you can definitely use all the methods I'm showing you with this thinner yarn. It really is not a problem. My whole point of going with the larger yarn is learning to grip your yarn properly, getting used to the feel of the yarn flowing through your fingers, and also being able to identify the stitches. Once you're able to identify the stitches in larger yarn, then it's going to be a little easier for you to identify the stitches when you go down to the thinner yarn. So start off large, get smaller, and I think that you'll be a little more successful. If you start small and you can't really see your stitches, you might be discouraged to move on. So that's just my recommendation, but by all means, if you want to jump right in with the size 4 worsted weight yarn, then go for it. So a lot of people already have worsted weight yarn in their collection, so if you want to grab that, then definitely go for it. Okay, so we're going to start with a chain 4. I'm going to slip stitch at the end to make a ring, and then we'll start the beginning of the circle. Now, to tension your yarn, the way I showed in the class, right? We're coming, just put my hook down. Okay. We're coming around the back of your pinky, okay? And going in between the pinky and the ring finger, and you're going to create one loop completely around your pinky, all right? Lay the yarn across the back of your hand, and then rotate your hand slightly to the left and grab the yarn with your thumb and your middle finger. This is your working yarn here, and this is where you're going to create loops, okay? The yarn, when it is passing through your fingers, it should flow very easily, okay, when you're pulling it. Very, very easily. All right? So I'm going to show you that one more time before I insert the hook. All right, so we're going to go. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to tension with my left hand, and I'm holding my hook in my right hand. So we're going to come across the back of your hand, right, through the pinky and the ring finger. One full circle around the pinky. Lay the yarn across the back of your hand. Rotate your hand slightly to the left, and with your middle finger and your thumb, you're going to grip the end here. All right? This is what it looks like. All right, as I'm working the circle, you're going to see me reposition this all the time. I mean, it really just becomes a very quick motion once you're used to it, but you're going to see me reposition and retension my yarn throughout making the circle. All right, so now before we even do that, we're going to create a slip knot. All right, we've seen this before. The tail of your yarn is here. Your working yarn is coming from the left. Give yourself a good amount of slack, maybe about 6 to 8 inches. Okay. Wrap the yarn around your index finger twice, not too tight. Then grip the tail and the working yarn. Take this back loop and pull it over the front loop, okay? While still holding the yarn here. Then you're going to take the back loop again, pull it over the front loop again and over the edge of your finger, pull up, and you have a slip knot. All right? Grab your hook, insert your hook into the loop, and pull this tight. The yarn should be able to slip up and down the neck of the hook with ease. Okay? Now we're going to tension our yarn. Right? I just want to be sure I keep doing it consistently the same way that I showed you. And then we're going to grab with our middle finger and our thumb. We're just going to secure that knot there. That's going to help you pull loops through like easy, as long as you have your hook facing upward, holding on to the knot here at the bottom. It's going to help you pull those loops through the loop on your hook. All right, so we're going to create our first chain. What you're going to do is scoop around the front of the working yarn, not the back. Scoop around the front. All right, this is called yarning over. Rotate your hook downward and pull that loop through the loop that's on your hook. That's chain one. Okay, your hook is facing up again. And do the same thing. Rotate, yarn over, rotate your hook downward, pull through the loop. That's two. Let's do two more. 3 and 4. Okay, we've created 4 chains here. They look like V's. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then you have your knot here. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4. The loop on your hook, that never counts. Okay, it's not completed. So we're only counting the completed chains. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you're going to insert your hook into the very first chain that you made. The very first one right here. And you're just going to go through that loop there. Yarn over again. Pull through one loop. Okay. And then pull through the next one. If you have to readjust your grip the way I did, then you can do that. And then you've created a circle. The center of your circle is right in here. Okay? This is why I recommend this large yarn, because then you can actually see that circle. You can push it open, because that's where you're going to start inserting your hook to create like a bunch of single crochets. All right, so there's your circle. Now we're going to do a single crochet, which is yarning over and pulling through the loop. I'm sorry, it's a chain one, not a single crochet, a chain one, forgive me. Chain one just to secure that circle. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to insert our hook and create single crochets inside of this circle 9 times. All right, if you want, you can hold this tail and create your single crochets around the tail just to secure it. If not, if you're having trouble just learning how to grip the yarn, then get the tail out of your way. Try not to get it like sewn or crocheted in there at random, because it can kind of throw you off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold the tail and I'm going to crochet around the tail so that it it's out of my way. So there's the center of the circle. Insert the hook. Just want you to see it good. Insert the hook into the center of the circle. Come around. Yarn over and pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through both. Okay, we've created one chain. At this point, I'm going to take my stitch marker, aka my bobby pin, and I'm going to insert that into that first chain. This is the first chain right here. You see the V. I'm going to take a bobby pin and just insert it in there. Pull it all the way through, let it hang, and that's going to mark your first stitch. Now you know where you started, okay? So that's one. We're going to put 8 more into the center of the circle. Insert, pull up a loop. You have 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. That makes number 2. All right, I'm going to speed up a little bit. You should be able to keep up, okay? That's 2. 3. Make sure you have enough slack of yarn because you don't want your yarn to be tight. It will make your stitches tighter. Okay, that's 3. 4. 5. And if you see, this is my tail. I'm just going to crochet it around with me so that it's tucked in there. 6. 7. All right, now I can drop the tail because I need a little bit to pull the circle tight. 8 and 9. Okay, so you should have 9 stitches in your circle. All right, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so instead of joining, like doing a slip stitch to join the circle, I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're just going to start the next round directly into the first stitch. All right, so to start the next round in the first stitch, and this is why the stitch marker comes in handy, because you could mistake that as a stitch. That was actually your chain 1 in the beginning. All right, this right here where the stitch marker is, that's going to be our first stitch. So what we're going to do is do 2 single crochets. We're starting to increase. We're going to do 2 single crochets into this stitch and every stitch around, and that will double the size of the circle. Okay, so if you want, you can take the stitch marker out. Oops. And insert the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 1. We're going to go right back into that same stitch and create a second single crochet. Insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And if you see here now, we have 2 stitches in this 1 stitch. I'm going to put my stitch marker back in so I know where the beginning of my circle is, and make sure you put it in that first one that you made, not the one that you just made, but the first one, which is right here. Okay, let's see if I can readjust a little bit just so I can look at my work rather than look at the camera. Okay, so we're going to continue to put 2 single crochets in every stitch around. These are your stitches. Okay, so we're going to put 2 in every stitch. 1, 2. Make sure you're going under both legs of the stitch, okay? 1, 2. All right, here's the next one. insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 1, insert. This is also a yarn over. Once you're comfortable with your grip, you just use your pointer finger to kind of help you yarn over. Pull up a loop, you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through. That's 2 in there. Go to the next stitch. 2. And 2. Okay. Okay, we have one more before we get to the beginning. Get that stitch marker out of the way. Okay, and we should have doubled the amount of stitches that we had. So we turn this around. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Perfect. All right. So now we're going to start to increase. And there's a pattern here. It's a sequence. So for this first increase, we're going to, in our first stitch here, we're going to start by putting 2 stitches in this first stitch. We'll do 2 single crochets. Okay. And then put your stitch marker, make sure you put your stitch marker back in so you know where you started. This was the very first stitch here. Okay. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet. In the next stitch, 2 single crochets. Let's make sure I'm staying in frame. In the next stitch, a single crochet, 1 single crochet. Then the next will be 2. And then 1. And that's going to be the sequence for this entire round. 2. And 1. 2. And 1. I think, this one should be 2. And 1. 2. And 1. And then our last stitch, we're going to put 2. And we're right back here at the beginning because we reached our stitch marker. So the next sequence is going to be, you're always going to start with an increase in your first stitch. So you're always going to start with that 2. in the first stitch. Even if you ended with 2 in your last, start with 2 in your first. So it's an increase. 2 single crochets, place a stitch marker in that first stitch, not the second one, but the first one. There we go. And then you're going to do 2 single crochets. So we did 2 single crochets in one stitch. Now we're going to do a single crochet and a single crochet in the next 2 stitches, right? So it's like double, single, single. So now we're going to do 2 in one stitch, single crochet, and now we're going to do single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So single crochet, single crochet, sorry, then we'll do 2 in one stitch. Good. Single crochet, single crochet, 2 single crochets in one stitch, or I'll just call it an increase. Single crochet, single crochet, increase. Single crochet. Oops. Oh, let me finish this one. Sorry. Okay, that was my increase. There we go. Single crochet, single crochet, increase. Single crochet, single crochet, increase. Get more yarn. Okay, and it's helpful to just know what your increases look like. All right, so your increases, these are 2 stitches. So there's 2 stitches here coming out of one hole here. And then this is just one. And then you can see here you have 2, you can split them here. But that's 1 and that's 1 coming out the one hole here. So it helps to be able to identify what 2 stitches look like, just in case you lose the sequence. So that's single, single, increase. All right, so we'll do 2 singles, get more yarn, and then increase. Single, single, and increase. And then our last stitch here is 1 single. All right, and if you notice, we came to the start again. So I'm going to leave you to go as wide as you'd like with your increases. But in your next round, your sequence would be increase in your first stitch, and then you would do single, 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 right? So first we did 2 singles, then an increase. Now we're going to do 3 singles and an increase. 3 singles and an increase, 3 singles and an increase. Then you go all the way around. If you want to go bigger, then on your next round, you will do an increase in your first stitch, and then you would do 4 singles and then an increase, 4 singles, then an increase. And you see what that pattern is. For every round, you're going to add another single crochet in this series. So it would be single, 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 increase. Single, 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 increase. Next round would be 5 singles and an increase. Next round would be 6 singles and an increase. And you just get bigger and bigger and bigger until you have the size circle that you want for your project. Okay? So if I were to stop increasing right now, this would be the base of my project. And then as I'm just crocheting around and around and around, you don't even need your stitch marker, to be honest with you. Once you start to build up your sides, you can just take the stitch marker out and just keep going in a circle, and then that is going to bring your sides up to whatever sides you like. All right, so I hope this helps. By the way, just to close the center circle here, what you want to do is get a really good grip on the circle and just pull your tail tight, and that's going to start to close it. You might have to jiggle it around a bit, play with the stitches, but if you keep pulling on that tail, it should start to tighten it. It might be a little difficult, especially because I crocheted around my tail. If you didn't crochet around the tail, if you keep on pulling at that tail, it will tighten that little hole, so you should be able to close it. All right, but you just keep going and going to increase your sides, and then you have you have a basket or a bowl or whatever, a paperclip holder. Or you could leave it flat and you have coasters. All right, I did say I'm going to show you the magic circle, so let me show you that quickly. I'm just going to cut off this yarn here. All right, and the magic circle, to make it easier to create a circle, there is this magic circle that you can do. I was struggling with it last night, so hopefully I'll do it right today. But what you're going to do is you're going to take the yarn and wrap it around your fingers twice, but make sure you cross. You really should cross at the bottom. There you go. Make sure that you cross. And then you have the 2 strands here. You're going to go under the first strand and above the second one and pull up a loop and twist it. All right, pull your fingers out, and while holding your working yarn, and get your good grip here, create 1 chain. So yarn over and pull through that loop that was on your hook, and then you have what's called a magic circle. All right, and then what you would do is you would crochet into the center of the circle to create your first round of stitches, like the 9 stitches that we did earlier. So this takes the place of chaining 3 or 4 chains and then pulling it together. You would just insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. That would be 1. I'm just going to do 5 for this one. 2, 3, and then see the circle. I mean, it's kind of hard to work with, so you can just pull on the tail and it'll start to draw the circle closed a bit, and then I can continue putting chains into the circle. Let's do 4 and 5. And then what you would do, it's much easier to close this circle because it's not weaved in, but just pull the chain and that kind of closes your circle. I'm going to put my hook back in here. And then that would be my first stitch right there. And I would start to crochet in there. Oops. Get my working yarn over. And go to my next stitch. Oh God, this is a long video. Right, and that's the magic circle. So everything is the same from this point. It's just how you start the circle. Sometimes it's easier to get your stitch into the first, like when you're doing your first round of stitches. This time I just did 5, but it's easier to see the magic ring or the magic circle, and then it's also much easier to close it. All right, but the magic circle, it definitely takes practice. And I'm sure there's other videos that are available if you're adventurous. All right, and I got back to the beginning here. And I could start my increases, which would be 2 in the first stitch, and then 1 in this stitch, and then 2 in this stitch, one in this stitch, 2 in this stitch, and so forth. You get the idea. All right, but the magic circle, it's definitely my preferred method, only because you can tighten the center a lot more than when you're chaining. I like completely closed it. Also, if you do chain, just don't weave in your tail as tightly as I did, and you wouldn't have a problem pulling that circle closed. But the magic circle it takes practice, but it is a great method. All right. So I hope this video was helpful. I know it's extremely long. I do have other videos that help you with some pretty beginner friendly projects, and then there's definitely a lot of influencers that I recommend. I can send that information through text or an email if you're interested. If you ever have any questions regarding what hook you should buy, what yarn you should buy, or if you're having trouble with a project that you started and you just don't know where to go next, please feel free to send me a message. And if you create anything, I would love it if you would share a photo with me. I definitely love seeing my students just master the craft of crochet. It really is a great hobby. There's so many things that you can do with crochet, making housewares, wearables, handbags, which I'm doing a lot of right now. It's relaxing, it's easy, it can be inexpensive, but it can also be very expensive, especially if you start collecting things like crochet hooks and yarn like I do. But it really is a great craft, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something, and best of luck.